Right, we're live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are here for what I would say is the most anticipated match of this year's Six Nations. France taking on Ireland in Ireland. The last three times these two sides have met in the Six Nations, it has actually been France who get themselves the victory. But Ireland, they're looking very strong as of late. They had a good win last week up against Wales, and they want to go on and get themselves the Six Nations title. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm very excited for this match, as you can tell, and it's going to be an extremely exciting one. Looking at the table, the way that it currently sits, you can see Ireland sit on top of the bunch. After that points differential up against the Welsh, they find themselves on 5 points with that bonus point win and 24 points to play with. Scotland in second, and then France, they are sitting in third, but it wouldn't take much for them to catapult themselves up just a little bit further if they are victorious in the Aviva for this matchup. Looking through at the starting lineup for the Irish, it will be Andrew Porter, Rob Herring, and Finlay Bealham as the front row. Tyke Byrne and James Ryan slotting in as the two locks, and then Peter O'Mahony, Josh Van den Flaren. Now, they set a stat before, which was absolutely incredible, and that man was involved in 37 breakdowns, and those were just the attacking ones rather than defense. So the man's a workhorse, as we already knew, and he's going to be doing just that in this game up against Les Bleus as well. And then Caelan Doris finds himself slotting in at number 8 to close out the 4-pack. Conor Murray and Johnny Sexton, a very experienced 9 and 10 combo. McCloskey, I felt he played very well last week up against the Welsh, so he keeps his spot at number 12. Gary Ringrose on his outside. James Lowe, Mac Hansen, and Hugo Keenan. So pretty much the exact same, other than maybe one or two changes that we're seeing, such as Rob Herring for the Irish in this matchup. Looking through at the French, although first we will see who we have got in the chat. We have got Miminia, we have got Thick Boy, Tienzia, Amelia, Xavier Brown, Spock, Yanri, Mr. Fantastic, and also we have got a little bit earlier on, it was Spock, who I think I said twice. But looking through at the starting lineup for the French, it will be Sirobayi, Julia Marchand, and Uni Antonio as the front row. Flamand and Willems will be the two locks. Geelong, Oleron, and Aldred, the loose forward trio. Very strong, and I cannot wait to see these three strong Frenchmen in the loose forward trio take on the Irish 6, 7, and 8. Antoine Dupont and Romain Intermac there as the 19. Mo Whana and Gal Fiku slot in as the two centres. Dumitar, whose name I said wrong last week. I think I'm going to say it wrong this week as well, but we're slowly getting there. Damien Pinot out on the right, and Thomas Ramos slots in as the number 15. Why does Skelton look like he's crying during the national anthem? He probably is, to be fair. And I actually got goosebumps before, and not because of the national anthems, but they had the president, I believe it is, I could be wrong with that, the president of Irish Rugby, and while he was shaking all the players' hands, they had the World Cup song in the background. And then it just makes you realize how close we are to a World Cup. It gave me throwbacks of playing 2011 Rugby World Cup on the Xbox. And now to know that the World Cup is so close and we have only got just that little bit longer to wait before we find out exactly who will be taking out the 2023 World Cup, it's pretty exciting. And Morning Amish, what world rankings for this match? Exactly right. 1 versus 2 in this one. And also we have got there, sorry for my ignorance, does Ireland have 2 anthems? I know it's, now I don't want to offend all of the Irish, but I know it's a little bit of a two-parter per se, because they have got the part with the Ireland. This is going to make me sound like I don't know too much about Ireland, which is true, unfortunately, but I know that it has the Ireland part, but it's also got a part beforehand that is kind of separate. Maybe, hopefully. Do let me know, someone who is from Ireland, and I am very sorry for not knowing this. But looking at Dupont warming up the footwork, knows he has to have a big game here. Now, France last week, up against the Italians, they didn't quite get the game that they were after. 29 points to 24. A win's a win, but they would have liked to have a little bit of a closer scoreline to what Wales and Ireland had in their fixture. Wayne Barnes in charge of this one. In charge of a lot of international matches. Some people like him, some people don't. We're going to find out which team likes him more at the end of this 80 minutes. But the countdown has begun, ladies and gentlemen. Ireland versus France just about to get underway at the Aviva for Six Nations 2023, round 2, and we are underway. And the crowd, well, it's expected. They are full for this matchup. McCloskey takes it inside of the Irish 22. Now Sexton goes across to Byrne. Peter O'Mahony protecting that one nicely. Murray looks like he'll go back into the pocket here. Does give it to James Lowe. On the left boot, he's not happy with it. It's actually not even found touch, but it's a knock-on, I believe, from the French. I think James Lowe just made it look like he was kicking into a gale force wind. He's a very good kicker normally, but that one's kind of gone straight up, and he sat there and went, come on, get a little bit closer to the touchline. They're lucky, though. They did get themselves the scrum there. And first try prediction or try scorers, I'm going with Low Ireland 37, France 28 for me, says Thick Boy. So I would say, wait, did it hit the spider cam? Is that why it, okay, that makes sense of why it pulled up, I guess. So that works well for Ireland in a way, the spider cam working in their favour. Tell you what, that French pack is absolutely massive. About a 60 kg advantage over Ireland. But the question is, does mass always result in results? We'll have to wait and see. Conor Murray about to put the ball in. It's kind of almost bounced out the side, almost through the same channel as it went in. McCloskey this time, though, he kicks it downfield. He hasn't hit the spider cam. Instead, he has hit the flying fullback, Thomas Ramos, who has actually not been tackled. He's just fallen onto the halfway line. Now Dupont goes to Intermac. And France normally very good with retaining that ball in the breakdown, although Ireland are also known for that brilliant ruck speed. So this is going to be an intriguing battle each and every time that ball hits the ground. But now Intermac goes Galfiku rush from Gary. Ringrose doesn't quite make the tackle, but slows down his opposite number. Now Dupont, short ball to Flamand, who I don't think expected it. I think he was going to be just joining the breakdown there in Ireland. Try and turn it into a ruck. Now it looks like Dupont will be putting this ball high. That's 3 sacks of potatoes, 60 kgs of 3 sacks of spuds hit you in the scrum. You'd feel it, says Thick Boy. True. But the question is, eventually, do those potatoes start to get mashed? And by that, I mean tired. But potatoes can't get tired, of course. Or can they? We don't know. Do potatoes have feelings? Currently on the halfway line. Dupont going off to the right-hand side. Cyril Bailly. Nice carry. Whose foot's that? Who's just kicked I think that's some headgear that he's kicked off to the side. The fact that someone's lost these already just shows how physical this game is going to be. Now Yui Antonio goes back. Thomas Ramos, short ball now to Geelong. Ripped away. And that is now going to be back on the side of France. Dupont goes to Galfiku. Numbers on the outside. Instead decides to hang on. Conor Murray was looking for that interception. This game has started at a quick tempo, and I believe that this is probably going to be the case for the full 80 minutes. Now Intermac back to Yui Antonio. Freight train trying to go straight up the middle. He's tackled by Tyke Byrne, who's given away the advantage, but not rolling away quick enough for Wayne Barnes' liking. Nice step there from Flamand. And he's the one who lost his headgear. Someone's lost a boot. Let's hope no one loses their shorts anytime soon. It's going to be the knock-on. We'll go back for the advantage. And good match in there so far, says Connor. Exactly right. Hamish India bamboozled Aussie in 3 days innings defeat, says Coding. And Wise Barnes always handling French matches. Ridiculous. The old man thinks he can talk French. Actually talks it in the field. And sure, it's illegal. I mean, but does that mean any of the French refs who can speak English shouldn't be allowed to referee England games by that same logic? I feel like it's slightly flawed. Yes, he does get a lot of French games, mainly because I don't think many people want to referee French games because the French side at the moment, very good. You don't want to be the one who loses that streak for them. Ireland will walk him, says Jacobus. And great point, says Thick Boy. And also, normally when I watch on my PC, my stream, it's like 1.5 minutes behind, but today it seems close to Amish's stream, says Mr. Fantastic. It's very good news. I know that on the Super Rugby Pacific live stream, we seem to be very behind in terms of the timer. Luckily, it seems like it's not going too bad today, but the first chance at points from Thomas Ramos, and it's gone over, and France take the lead early, 3 points to nil. And talking French to a Frenchman is not illegal, says Thick Boy. At least it wasn't the last time I checked. That's actually one of the old French referees. Me and George spotted him in the last game up against Italy. Does anyone know who that guy on the closest side to the screen was on the right? Used to be a referee. Can't think of his name, though, unfortunately, at the moment. But you can hear the Irish crowd. They aren't exactly happy with that 3 points, and they know that their side need to be the next to strike in this fixture. It's taken beautifully, though, by Charles Olihan. And Dupont now goes for the box kick himself. Gets some good distance on it as well. Down into the hands of Hugo Keenan. The Irish fullback looking to go through Flamand, who tackles him very nicely. And the rugby communication language is English, not other language. Then South African referees talking Afrikaans. I mean, it's not like, I guess you could say, absolutely necessary to speak the language that a lot of people feel is the main talking language of a lot of teams. Like, you are allowed to speak, like we said, you're allowed to speak French to a French player. Who else we had? A Spanish referee in the sevens. We see them speaking Spanish to the Spanish players. It's just like, anyway, as a referee, your job is to communicate with those players. And if you can't do effectively in their second language, why not speak their first language to them? If you have it up your sleeve, like that's the thing that makes more sense, I guess you could say. I didn't catch your first try scorer and score prediction. I just realized I forgot to give you one, Thick Boy. This gives me the fast tempo. First try scorer, even though they're on a rolling ball and it looks extremely close to scoring, I am going to say it will be the right winger for this matchup, which is Matt Hansen. We'll go with. And then score's a little bit trickier, but I think either way it's going to be closed down by less than 5 points. Now going off to the right-hand side, Rob Herring goes off to Connor Murray now. Around the side, Ireland just phase after phase, like a hungry pack of dogs trying to get a feed here. Murray across again, great step from Miklowski. Brings it within a couple meters. Murray, one more again. Here come the Irish. This time that was a weird tongue roll. That's going to be Caelan Doris. Round the side, just inches. The French goal line defence always very strong. Here comes Andrew Porter, who tries to become a caterpillar and kind of do that little before the line. Right. Ireland's still 2 meters out. We're up to 11 phases at the moment. It's weird. When you're up against the French, even 2 meters can feel like a mile. Murray goes into the hands of Ringrose once again. 1 meter out. Murray quickly recycled to Andrew Porter. Drops his head. Is he over or is he held up? They're going to have to check this one. I believe it's going to be called as held up and a goal line dropout. Brilliant defense from the French there. Names are harder to say. Perfectly. French or Islander names? It depends a little bit. I would say at the moment French names, because I have kind of learnt a few more of the, I guess, the slightly harder parts of like some of those Pacific Island languages or those names. Fijian, for instance, you know that the C is going to be TH. So like what I used to think was Naya Kilevu is Naya Filevu. I had to try and remember a name that I used to mispronounce. Yeah, once you learn those little things, it does make it a lot easier. Finley Beale, and beautiful inside ball to Hugo Keenan. Numbers, he went himself. He's got to score it, and he does. Because if he didn't, he had about 3 angry Irish backs who were about to go give him a beating. But that's 9 minutes in. First try of the match for the Irish. And the crowd at the Aviva, they love that one as their team now takes the lead. And also basically it's beneficial as a ref to be multilingual. Exactly right. It'll get you more matches. And at the end of the day, if you're multilingual, if you get more matches, you get more money. And you're probably making the most of your refereeing career in terms of being able to do so many of the contests. Thick Boy, as their try coming here, and your Islanders, and of course the names are hard, says Mimania. A brilliant work by Hugo Keenan. And like I mentioned, he had to score because there were 2, maybe even 3 Irish players on his outside waiting for that pass. And he decided, no, I'm going to try and step through these 2 French defenders and get there in the end. And you can see there into Max sitting down, Ramos sitting down. They're not happy with that one. They felt they should have been able to clean it up. And also Barnes gave France a warning in French. The England captain didn't know because he didn't understand. France, again, transgressed, and Barnes didn't give yellow. England would have protested if they knew, says Spock. Well, it's one of those ones. Do you put it down to the English captain not being curious enough? In that case, all it takes is to just say, what did you say to him? Sorry, I don't speak French. And then Wayne Barnes would have gone, yeah, just said warning. Don't do it again. And the English captain would have gone, hey, yep, cheers. That's all I needed to know. Just got to ask questions. It's like school. They always say you're better off asking a dumb question rather than no question at all. I often used to hear that because I asked some dumb questions. I asked earlier on, do potatoes have feelings on this live stream? But the kick is successful. 7 points to 3 in favour of the Irish. And only 10 minutes in, which means we're going to get plenty more action between the two sides. I'm thinking, the thing is, both sides could walk away here with a try-scoring bonus point. Now from South Africa and Whitbank says Johan from Worcester, 41 degrees. Geez, that's a little bit warm, isn't it? Thomas Ramos takes it. Oh, the voice is struggling already. Brilliant low tackle made by James Lowe. Cut down the counter-attack. Now Dupont, I believe one of the Irish players might have been rushing a little bit much there. Might have been able to just step back before going forward. Now Dupont passes back across to Geelong. We pass back. Oh, he's taken a big knock there for Flamand. I think he's just decided that his head no longer will fit in that headgear. So he's just gone, nah, just do it without it. Gone high. Not quite taken cleanly by Murray, but it does go backwards in the end. Just a little French knock-on involved there. And the scrum will be for the Irish. And also we've got the Kia Nate and Juju. Says Nazi Williams. And also go France, says roll off. And is this referee Aussie? I swear I've seen him in Super Rugby. It is Wayne Barnes. He's English, but he does do a lot of refereeing around the world. Maybe because he's multilingual. But, yeah. I think I don't know if he's done Super Rugby before. You would have seen him in the Rugby Championship, though, doing a few of the matches. I'm just trying to think of who our referees for Super Rugby normally are. You've got Nick Berry, you've got Paul Williams, the other fellow who I can literally see but can't name, Ben someone. I think his name's Ben. And also roll off rain by us for 2 days. And Marina Makaz says Nate. And France 18, Ireland 12, says Johan. So a close game. I got 20 on the Irish, says Easy does it. They would have been underdogs going into this match. Were they? Maybe just, though. Because at the end of the day, yes, France are on a 3-match winning streak up against the Irish. But it's the Aviva. It's packed out. And this Irish side have been looking very good. Definitely last week up against the Welsh, getting themselves that winning bonus point. Evening, Hamish. Thanks for the commentary. You're a lifesaver, says Joss. Thank you very much for being here, mate. You are doing very well. But Conor Murray about to put the ball in for the Irish scrum. Now, we already mentioned there's a 60 kg advantage for the French. Now, McCluskey receives it off the back from Murray. Looks for a bit of space, but Ramos covering nicely and just decide to kick it himself. Now, a little partial charge down. Driven back. Matt Hansen knock on from Murray. And now the French again are going to have a good chance. It's the number 11, Dormier, whose name I say terribly, so I hope he doesn't touch the ball too much. Galfiku goes to Intermac. Inside ball. Here comes Geelong. Now Sirubai. Always going to make those extra couple meters for you when he crashes at the line. Galfiku. Quick hands to Mofana, who has a Mac Hansen around his bootlaces, so he wasn't able to run as quickly as he would have liked. Ramos goes to the right. Now Flamand, he's managed to fit that head back in the headgear. And that's not saying he's got a big head. It's just saying he's a very big individual. Know that the Irish president of rugby, he did end up giving him a handshake. Had to look pretty much right up at the heavens to be able to see him. Dupont now look for the offload. Josh Van Den Fleur gets on it and does manage to just almost get the turnover for Ireland. But the penalty goes the way of the French for the Irish players leaving their feet. And now France have the opportunity to get themselves another 3 points. I love to see Wayne Barney try his hand at Japanese, konnichiwa, and all that. Is that the only Japanese word that you know, thick boy? What else is... Oh, sorry, not French, Japanese. I know arigato. That's it. I've got hello and thank you. Those are my two. Let's just say I probably shouldn't go to Japan anytime soon. That would have looked kind of smooth, like a 3D movie right there with me reaching over for that bottle. Yeah, and I've seen a meme where in Submarine crosses the Appies. And yep, says Johan. I was going to say it was quite warm here today, but then I heard it was 41 in South Africa. And people would think I was just moaning. Now Ramos, line this kick up and try and get 1 point in it after 14 and a half minutes. One thing that's great about the Aviva is it's very quiet, other than the one guy who's had too many beers already who then whistles. That's gone over. And now the score 7 points to 6. Progressing well in this matchup. Both sides having their moments, although we haven't really seen an out-and-out French attack yet. And I was like, yes, says Mimania. And George, you at all today? Not today, although actually it's now Sunday, isn't it? So he might come around for an NRL trial match if he is available. But then also there is a small chance, only small, depending on whether he's working or not, that he might come around for England-Italy for that matchup. Now slap back, but then it was slapped back by France. A little bit of a double slap back by both sides. French end up with the ball just outside of their 22. Thomas Ramos has to play half, gives it to Flamand. It makes just one more meter. Now Dupont, it looks like this one definitely is going to be the box kick today. Now, big boot downfield from Dupont, taken by James Lowe, 40 metres out from the Irish line. The chip and chase. Almost got onto it, manages to just step it back, but it does sit up for Antoine Dupont. Look for the offload, hits the ground. Damien Penaud picks it up, running sideways. That's normally what you're taught not to do in the under-9s. And now it looks like the other winger might have also learned that same trait for now. What about South Africa referee Akori Pipers? Says Jacobus. Is that for the speaking? Does he speak Afrikaans? Jacobus. And just for context, the Highfield is flooding with rain, and we in Cape are burning up. The South African February says roll off. So I know the URC, they don't have any games this week, but they'll have some soon, won't they? Across a few other nations. Now the Dupont goes across the Mofana. They still find themselves about 5 metres out from their own 22. In fact, with that loose ball, it does take them back inside. Has been taken back, and it's also been touched. Mac Hansen, has got some good space here. Another chip and chase, a little bit flatter than the last one. Sits up beautifully, taken by Intermac. No panic at all, though that pass doesn't flash. Almost sits up for Damien Penaud, who now has space up the middle of the field. Inside ball to Anthony Jalonge, who's breaking one tackle. Finds the ball back to Damien Penaud. This is the French attack that we've come to know for the past 12 months, and that will be the try. Damien Penaud. But there was a lot of panic there early. But then they just showed their class afterwards. French Strike says Barry Power and greetings from Alice Springs, are now known as New Mogadishu. What is Mogadishu, Fluffy? I have no idea what that means. But it's kicked in behind by Mac Hansen originally. Then it was Intermac who took it cool and collected. Missed the pass to Ramos. And then it was a nice little tap back from Ramos. Damien Penaud, with the assistance of Geelong, has gone almost the full length of the field, about 85 metres between them. And beautifully done. Damien Penaud scores it. And that gives the French the lead. And oof, bad defence, says Mimania. And French are looking a bit too clever on these near obstructions on low. And Hansen's kick chases. Wayne Barnes needs to keep an eye, says Thick Boy. How many Kiwis in this chat? Says easy. Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if we've got a huge amount. A lot of people, I guess, do enjoy sleeping, seeing as it is 3:30 a.m. But this is one of those matches, if you were ever going to get up for a Six Nations fixture, this is the one to do. UFC today you're watching, I may be able to catch the main card, depending on what time I do end up waking up. I managed to sneak about 2 hours before the start of the stream, just because or else then I think I was going to fall asleep during Wales versus Scotland. Not anything to do with that game, just because I have been up for a long time. Just like last week, I think we managed to hit about 26 hours awake, something like that. We went fishing after the end of the last live stream in the Six Nations. That will be going over. And now France sitting 13 points to 7. And vamos, Ireland, says Durand. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Dan says, Nate, come on, Ireland. We don't know you boys like this, says Mimania. And time is fleeting, says Fluffy, and the most time you spend awake. In terms of, I think the longest we've been awake for was something ridiculous, like 30-something hours. And during that time, we had done about 25 hours of live streaming, charged down by Ireland. Inside of the 22 now, they find themselves on attack, and McCloskey has managed to clean up for the men in green. Now Finlay Beelum throws himself at the line, but on the ball for France, just doesn't quite keep his footing for long enough. Now Doris goes back to Sexton. Short pass to Josh Van den Fleur. We know how much work that man does on defence, but he also has some very good chances throughout a contest to score himself a try, and I think this game will be no different. Now, once again, Van der Fleur goes forward. Sexton, nice ball now. The Irish going to give a go at the back line. Goes off to James Lowe for the corner. He tries to jump, and I think he's gone into touch. Bundy Arkey has come out of nowhere and said, yep, I'll take that one. But James Lowe, he's not looking happy. He looks like he's going, ugh, but you can't tell because he's got a mouth guard in, so he's going to go, eh. But I think that's going to be no try. Try maybe low, says Barry and High from Sri Lanka. Says, Hitman, and also have you seen the vid where Jean de Villiers, former bot captain, caught a shot liver in the pole? You guys should Google it, says Roloff. I have not seen it. Oh, James Lowe. Oh, did he somehow not get his foot on the ground there? I thought that it might have just skimmed it. That left hand boot. In fact, it's his right. Does it touch? Ooh, on-field try from Barnes. I think this could be no try, but there's a chance they might also go, it's good. And you'll see later today, you're watching it, boss. I hope that I can catch some of it. Right, it's on the line. This is going to be a tricky one to give or not give. Either way, there's going to be either a massive boo around the Aviva or a massive cheer. Okay. Whether it's grounded and compressed onto the line before it hits that white line and foot out first, says Mimini. Although it sounds like they're just looking at the grounding now. They've said that the foot's somehow fine. For James Lowe. So he's got to get the ball down before it hits the line. Oh, okay. Nah, that angle makes it a little bit trickier for the TMO. And that's very close, says Thick Boy. And good evening from Northern India. And there as well, the capital city of Somalia, says Stevens. Welcome in, mate. If you are doing well. It's staying as on-field try. Now, that's going to split opinions, but we won't know a lot of them because a lot of them will be French supporters, and I don't speak French. But Ireland, they score the try. Speaks clearly out, says Xavier. Yeah, it was weird how his body boomeranged. That's the only way I can describe it because they were working out whether or not there was, I've just realized my hands are too low, whether there was a slight brush of the boot. But then somehow it kind of went down and then went up like that. Like he was on some sort of pendulum, but I've given the try. On-field was try, so they had to find clear and conclusive evidence that he hadn't scored it. They weren't able to do so, and now Ireland move themselves up to 12. It must be tough, Hamish, when you comment on the game. Those watching do not really like the teams playing, says Roloff. I'm used to it. It's just like when you're watching two sides play and everyone clearly doesn't like one team. You kind of get used to the animosity that can be about. Now, Johnny Sexton doing some mini steps. He's missed again, unfortunately, Sexton. Now, the reason I say again is last week didn't quite find his best kicking boots for the Irish, but this was all down to brilliant pressure from Mac Hansen. He's actually the man who got the first charge down. Then the Irish, they had the back line moving nicely. Now, James Lowe looking for the corner. Pinot just not... actually, now that angle looked like his foot was in touch. But, yeah, James Lowe, he was going, ugh. But he'll take it. And Sexton Lord of the Dance And there's going to be a hectic game. It certainly is. And that foot just glided over the surface as Mimini and pass was forward and boot touch grass. I just show how much the TMO and refs are influenced by the home crowd, says Jan Rinel. Well, probably a better statement there is how much they're influenced by the on-field decision, seeing as they had to find the clear conclusive and they felt they weren't able to find it. But I don't think home crowd had anything to really do with it. It was more the case of Wayne Barnes had given it as a try. That's a penalty to Ireland once again. Not moving away penalty that time against France. Who was it? So Ramos goes in, or in fact, it's not releasing against Thomas Ramos there. And also, what a bizarre decision. I'm Irish, says Stephen G. Yeah. See, that was one of those perfect examples of the camera angle you view. Like, it completely changes the perspective, if that makes sense. Because from behind, that looked like his foot was out. From the other side, it was like, and then the other one, it was like, oh, he might be all right. So it's weird, isn't it? Good old camera angles. Lucky we got plenty of them. Actually, no, probably not lucky we got plenty of them because that makes it harder. And when can I stream the game, says Brian? I believe it's on. Now, I know it's not BBC, but I'm sure that someone can help me out in terms of where you can watch it in Europe. Update your scoreboard, mate. Says Ronan, it's already on the right score. 12 points to 13. Now 23 minutes into this contest. James Lowe looks to boot it high. Chasing hard here. Hugo Keenan. It's a 50-50. Taken beautifully by Ramos. And now Intermac on the halfway line. And the French have got the ball again. Dupont considered kicking, but instead decided to go for the run himself. He's running sideways at the moment. Almost piercing the gap there, Dupont. Dragged down on a great tackle by McCloskey. They had to stop him. That's a knock on. Ireland picked the ball up. Now Tyke Byrne. Ball on the outside. Hugo Keenan, the French defenders just jockeying across. But Ireland, once again, off a French mistake, they're going to have another great chance. Matt Hansen, quick hands from, it was Gary Ringrose. Taken down in the midfield now for Ireland, who find themselves 35 metres out from the line. Matt Hansen goes round the side of the breakdown. Brilliant work from James Ryan to keep it on their side. Great step from Caelan Doris. Now James Lowe, 30 metres out, wants to score this one just a little bit further infield, just to leave less to the TMO. And referee, massive shot from Uni Antonio. Who did he just flatten there? And did he do it legally? Whoever he flattened, it was Rob Herring who's still down. Okay, Wayne Barnes has said he's got it. Oh, Rob Herring has to pick the ball up. He's just had his ankle taken out as well. Now picked up Sexton, straight up the middle. The Irish veteran looking for his offload, didn't find it in the end. Hey, what if Sexton went right up the middle and scored there? The crowd would have gone absolutely nuts. But 1 metre out from the line, McCloskey, another advantage against the French. Now Murray has to make the decision. He goes wide, intercepted, so they will go back for the original penalty. Yeah, I'm in Spain, says Brian. Oh, that makes it hardest, Brian. Have you got a VPN? Because that might be your best bet. And also, we're doing very well. Your feed is a lifeline to expats in India, says Stephen. That didn't look good for Uni Antonio. Just saw it out of the corner of my eye. He just pretty much, ideally, if this was a player, you want to try and tackle him somewhere around here. Worst comes to worst about here. Uni Antonio just went, it's the best way of describing it. Straight into him. French number 3 is in trouble for the high tackle he is. And Sexy Sexton says Nazi Williams, he done well there. I'm impressed with this channel's reach literally around the world. Yeah, he hasn't ducked at all there, Uni Antonio. And yes, he's a big man, so he might argue he didn't want to duck because he couldn't be bothered. But, about there. That was all shoulder as well, I should mention Uni Antonio. He's got a large frame. Oh, that shows Rob Herring's jaw going like that. This is going to be at least a yellow card, if not red. And head contacts, it was indeed. Shoulder to the head, says Miminer. We're just going to see if it is the first contact. Yeah, that does not look good for Uni Antonio. And this might be something that the French really didn't need at this point of the match. And what a game says, Leighton, yet it's going to be awesome. Although a red card here could change the dynamic a little bit. Boom. Some through the arm and some through the chest. The way that Wayne Barnes has said that, he's going to say yellow card, I think. It's not all through the head, but Rob Herring, someone's going to have to wake him up and tell him that it's only going to be a yellow card rather than a red, because degree of force. Oh, okay. Wayne Barnes gives a yellow, which the crowd are booing. And tell you what, his touch judge, he was surprised, because Wayne Barnes said that because it slightly struck the shoulder, it meant that there was less force. But Rob Herring, his head will be hurting because there was a lot of force there. So his touch judge was like, that was the face he played or pulled. Very lucky, says Yanri. Very lucky indeed. And hello, Amish. Hope you're well. Did you see that Sean Everett signed with the Bulls? I didn't. I know that there's been quite a few signings as of late, hasn't there? For a few of the different sides. I also saw, what's his face? Milani Nanai, I think, is at the Crusaders because he was at Worcester. It's a completely different scenario. Sorry for changing the subject there. But yeah, it's quite cool how many kind of changes we're seeing. A lot of New Zealand players going to Japan at the moment. Still rumours of whereabouts Scott Robinson's going to end up for his coaching. French flags from Lukami there. Welcome in. And Terrible Barnes, it's a red card, says Barry. But I think the best example here for France is to take that one as a blessing and not do it again. Because if you do it again, surely it's going to be a red next time. But take that as a lucky one. Go, okay, don't hit them in the head anymore. And also, Rob Herring, brain still reverberating. Yeah, try and tell him, who's got to go off for an HIA, that was a little bit lighter because it slightly struck his shoulder. He'll kind of sit there going, wait, what? Because he won't realize he's still out there. But after he comes to, he'll be like, oh, yeah, nah, that hurt. And come on, frog legs. To be fair, both teams' defense has been horrible. Geez, Yanri, that's that positive thinking that we love from you, Yanri. 25 minutes through the moment, and Ireland have got themselves a scrum 5 meters out from the French line, who have had to take a back off to get the replacement tie hair prop out on the field. They've got 10 minutes to work here. And to be fair, oh no, I read that one, didn't I? And I'm glad there is no red card. Would hurt the game at the moment, or which at the moment is excellent. That is true. 15 on 15, always going to be more exhilarating between these two sides than 14 on 50 for the rest of the game. McCloskey now. Conor Murray. Oh, that's offside. That's quite cynical from Romain Intimat. Or was he onside? They've said he's fine, but I thought he kind of came from the Irish side. Might have to look at a replay of that one. Andrew Porter now 1 meter out. Drives over. Flattens out. Did the caterpillar that I mentioned he was trying earlier. And Ireland make the most of the man advantage. Score themselves their third try of the contest. And also, I agree, Hamish, it was a blessing it wasn't a red card. And Porter tries his Barry Power. And will players ever learn to tackle safely? Probably not, to be honest. It's just one of those ones that in the heat of the moment, like some of it comes down to bad discipline. See, where's Intimat come from there? Obviously France originally, but you look like he did come from a very sideways position. Slowing that one down. That's close to impossible in a speed contact sport, says Nuzzy Williams, and Bain gets paid 3 hamsters per game. I love a hamster. I feel like they seem like they're low maintenance. You know, give them a wheel and they're good to go. Also feed them, of course, and give them water and whatnot. But yeah, give them a wheel. And they just think that they're running in some magical land that never stops. Like a person on a treadmill, except we don't find it fun. 8 minutes left. 27 minutes through this matchup. 19 to 13. So it's a successful kick. I almost said a sexton kick. Should have been red card, says Omani there. And should have been red, says Blake. And then should have been red, says Loach. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Sorry if I have mispronounced that one. Would have killed the game with one player down 1 and 2 for the world ranking. All eyes on these two. And come on, Ireland, a better step to toy. Got a red for something way more softer than that collision. And it wasn't even his fault. You didn't Jesper Visa set him up, sold him up the river. Said, you can have this challenge, and then just pushed him straight into a red. Conor Murray taking that one inside of the 22 for Ireland. This time, James Lowe kicks it off the left boot, getting better distance on that one. We'll get them out to somewhere around the 22. He did have the distance, but not quite the accuracy to be able to get those few extra meters. Come on, Ireland, red card, says Spock. And I was the hamster and the honey. There's a thought. Not enough meat on them, I wouldn't think. And Barnes has a soft spot for the French, doesn't he? Says Deborah. And the problem is kids will stop playing the game if it ain't stamped out, says Barry Power. Now, line out throw, Julien Marchand gets it in nicely to Flamand. Now the replacement tie here prop gets involved. Galfiku pushed into the line by Geelong. You've got to be careful doing that. Now it's gone backwards. Dupont picks it up. Oh, he tried to pop pass, but there was no one there. Everyone had left him. And now McCluskey, beautiful ball to James Lowe. Numbers on the outside for the Irish. Is that going to be Johnny Sexton in space? It is again. The ringmaster of the Irish side. Beautiful inside ball to Caelan Doris, who gets through one island now up to the 22 of the French round the side, trying to keep this one alive. Nice run from Keller. All available at the back again. Now he's the replacement for Herring at the moment for the HIA. Ireland looking clinical at the moment, though. If they get another try, they have the bonus point before they even reach the halftime stage. Short ball to Bilham, who's picked up and dropped. Now Murray gives it to a stagnant run there from, I believe, was his number 3? No, that would have actually been his number 1, in fact. Now off the side, James Lowe again. I believe, was there another penalty advantage from Wayne Barnes there? Either way, Ireland are going to be continuously throwing everything into it. Yep, it was the advantage. Connor Murray. Still available for him, going off to the right-hand side. Sexton, one of my ring rows. Lobby pass, taken nicely by McCluskey, who bumps off Dupont. Lucky for him, he's got a large chin. He might have been down for a bit longer. Good inside ball to Rob Herring. Ireland not rushing this, just going phase after phase. They've actually gone back for the French penalty, so the original advantage must have been over. And they've said it was a neck roll. So that will be now the penalty to France. A very good bit of defence there from the French. Stop that chance. Johnny's just gone, what? I think he was asking to go back for maybe a shoulder somewhere along the lines. You don't see my point. Rugby will die as a game without young players, says Barry Powell. Well, we got the point. And also we have got the girl says Scrumless, and also in the house, long time no see. And Dupont says Fluffy, a late tackle on Sexton, says Loach. Very late tackle from, wow. That was very late. So Wayne Barnes is saying that he's already played that advantage, so they aren't going to go back for that one. And also you can learn all the derailed theology of safe tackle, but actually putting it into action 100% accurate, especially at these blokes level, will never happen. And now why don't you just show the match, guys, says Thornley. There is a very good reason for that, and that is copyright. We show any match footage or audio, they take us straight off YouTube and ban us for 3 months from doing any sort of live stream, whether that's commentary or anything. So pretty much because we haven't paid a few $1 million to get licensing is why we can't show it, sadly. Which is a shame. Not just because I don't have a few $1 million, but also because we can't show anything. But I do recommend Six Nations YouTube channel after the match. We'll have the highlights of this fixture. Sexton running like he is 21 miles. He's doing very nicely, Johnny Sexton. And heavily involved throughout the first 30 minutes. Rolling more from France now, 40 metres out from their own line. Julien Marchand drops his head, tackled by his opposite, Rob Herring. Now Dupont looking to roll this one back. They're just mentioning some of those players that Ireland are missing. Of course, France got their fair share of players that they haven't got for this contest as well. That's bounced back for Galfiku off the kick and chase, the up and under from the French. Now Dupont goes to the right. This is about the time where if France were able to score, it would give them a lot of confidence, seeing as they are playing with that man disadvantage. Now, replacement, tight head prop, getting crushed. That's going to be, unfortunately, it's going to be a penalty, but there was just nowhere Connor Murray could go. Just stuck under a couple of large French forwards. But we are tuned in here as well, says Miminier. And only we are. And also that should have been a red card, says Connor, an RTE player showing the match, says Barry. And Ireland have lost more games than they won when Barnes has been ref. That's not a good stat for the Irish, is it? And watching in Cuba come on the Irish, says Connor there. And Tyke Furlong, I would never let this happen, says Grumlass. And poor Tyke, he's still recovering from injuries, just tuning in while trying to get back to sleep after sleeping for an hour past midnight, says Sammy Souza. Okay, so similar to myself, I did end up getting about 2 hours sleep for waking up for this one. And then I think I'm sleeping during the day today so that we can get up for England, Italy, which is taking place tomorrow at 4 a.m. Right. France with the penalty. Thomas Ramos, 47 metres out. That one was for the not rolling away from Conor Murray. And also France have a penalty. Says Thornley, oh, great, France have a penalty. And Ireland going to edge this. Kick successful again. So still 100% at the moment. And that will make the score now 19 points to 16 between the sides. 2 minutes 20 still left of the French yellow card against Uni Antonio. And Barnes will definitely be ref in the French semi-final game. And the final, he probably already has his check in the mail, says Deborah. How you doing the next match in Scotland? We certainly are. So that next game is going to be Wales versus Scotland. And at the moment, Scotland, they are sitting on second in the Six Nations table. Depending on who wins this game, they will either keep their second spot or maybe drop down to third. Nicely taken by France, 30 metres out from their own line. And only another 6.5 minutes actually left here in the first half. This one's flown by for this matchup. And Barnes is getting pretty universally hated in here. I think he's a decent ref. He just likes the sound of his own voice, says Thick Boy. He does like to talk, Wayne Barnes. And sometimes I think in his mind he's describing exactly what's happened to the players, but normally it ends up kind of shooting himself in the foot a little bit in terms of maybe talking too much about the same thing. And then players are like, well, what about this part? Now kicked him behind. Dupont is waiting for that one. Now Intermac tries to carve at the middle. Loose offload. Finds Dupont with it somehow off the bounce. Now the number 8. Tell you what, Gregory Aldred. You wouldn't know he's been on the field. I don't think I've mentioned his name once that I can think of. I think we've hardly seen him. Either he's been that quiet workhorse that probably isn't getting enough credit, or he just hasn't been there. Now, back into the pocket, Intermac gets some good distance on that one. Wayne Barnes is talking to Dupont as he's trying to defend there. Hugo Keenan now kicks it in behind, taken by Intermac. Booted way back downfield, but the Irish, they've got it covered inside of the 22. Mac Hansen gives it back to James Lowe. Now, this will be an almighty torpedo punt from Lowe. Massive distance on it, gets it into the French half for their line out. Same score as South Africa versus Ireland, and Barnes is literally a living meme for international rugby. And how do you tick when, I think that's who do you think will win it from Connor. It's certainly going to be close. I said either side by 5 points. Ireland at the moment have looked like the more clinical side. They're getting themselves to 3 points, getting themselves to 3 tries, but 3-pointers from France slowly add up. And so far, they have been able to get themselves 9 points from those penalties. So you'd think in the end, tries would beat pens. But if France score another try, then we're really in for a good second half. And it's not too far away. Still 4 minutes left of the first, though. Galfeku shifting away to the right now. Thomas Ramos tackled by James Lowe. Now Geelong has to play halfback. Goes to Charles Olivon. Stolen by Caelan Doris. Beautifully done now. Kick downfield from Ringrose. Looks like it's going to be none other than Josh Van den Flair chasing after a tap back well by Damien Pinot. Already scored himself 1 try in this matchup, the one and only for France. Now Julien Marchand bumping out of a tackle. Forward pass, I thought, out to Mo Farah, but it must have just been the angle. The Irish commentators just called one of the French players delicious, which might be concerning. Now Dupont. Nice ball again. Now, once there is a stoppage in play, France will be back to their full 15. But until then, it's going to be offloaded straight into the hands of Mac Hansen. Now Hugo Keenan for the corner. Ramos tries to stop him. He just doesn't quite stay on his feet, but the ball comes free. And Hansen, in a leg drive contest, gets driven almost into touch by Dupont. Just in the field of play, though. 5 out. Brilliant defense from France with what was almost a monumental balls up. That's not really professional commentary, is it? Well, I could have said a worse word, I think. Now, Hansen, that's a monumental worse word. Mac Hansen just passes it straight into touch. and that will diminish the Irish attack. Delicious WTF, says Nazi Words coming to Ireland. And also, we have got their no bonus points. But Ireland by 3 tries, says Paris. Oh, okay. So Ireland currently sitting on the 3 tries. So that would mean they aren't able to score any more tries in this contest. So they will have to get a lot of penalties in that second half. I think he meant his style of play. I think he did too. But brilliant work from Dupont. Just kept his body low enough around the waist and just kept on driving and driving and driving. And Dupont is a little Hulk, says Loach there. Hopefully I am saying that correctly. Do let me know if I'm saying that slightly wrong, and I will make sure to get it right. And what flavour do they come in? Salt and vinegar? Says Fluffy. Tell you what, some salt and vinegar, though. You ever had salt and vinegar chips that are just too strong? El Fiku looks like he might have hurt himself there. But he should be all right. Yeah, sometimes your tongue, you can't feel it for like 2 days. Although that's your own fault, really, or my own fault for eating the whole bag when they are strong. Now, Marchand almost stolen by Omani. Oh, Geelong. He wasn't expecting that one. And not only that, I think he's going to be held up. Yeah, he is. But do we go back for the advantage? We sure do. So, Geelong, he wasn't expecting the pass. I thought he did well to take it. And then he just kind of went, and it fell out of their hands, went down. The French number 6, who otherwise has had a pretty solid game so far throughout the first half. And then Murray just held up. They will be going back for that 5-metre scrum by 4, maybe, says Paris. And also Ireland and Scotland to win, says Connor. And South Africa, France, and Ireland must be favourites of the World Cup. They did not change their coaches. New Zealand are, in their brilliance, is going to appoint a new coach for the World Cup. Surely not. Not at this late stage. I think we'd have to pay Ian too much to release it. So they've kind of gone, nah, you'll do. And some of it got me thinking about potato chips, Bluebird branded, says Semi Sosa. Yeah, that was a bad idea talking about potato chips. Now I just want potato chips, which would be weird to have them because it's 4 a.m. I'm only here, you mutt, because I can't see the game. But as a mutt, you're not giving bad comments, says Paris. Right, okay. Fair enough. Feels like a bit of animosity there, Paris, perhaps. I can't recommend the highlights afterwards. They're quite good. 2 minutes left, though. There's now going to be Connor Murray feeding this ball and having a conversation with Josh Van den Flair. I think what the plan will be here is either go for that beautiful set play out there backline or go Doris off the back and then Josh Van den Flair right next to it and get that first carry forward. Oh, that's moving sideways. She's doing the crab. That's going to be a penalty. Oh, Murray considered going quickly. I believe Ireland might consider this time maybe going for the corner. Do they? Or do they not? They've got 30 seconds of allowed time. They're having a good conversation. And, oh, this is different. They're actually just going to go for the quick tap, throw Rob Herring at the line. Try and then get that go forward. Right, Doris. He's at his carry. But at the moment, Josh Van den Flair inside of the breakdown. He will not get his yet. James Ryan, they have got numbers to the left here, Ireland. So they just have to make sure they choose the right time to go there. Because Hugo Keenan's lurking. He might be the one who does pick it up. Now Murray. Going short ball. Wow, that was a rough pass. Ended up bouncing. Although it might have hit a French foot, perhaps. I think I heard Wayne Barnes say. Now Bellum around the side. Now this time Josh Van den Flair has a crack. 2 meters out now. Another advantage goes the way of the Irish. Here comes Andrew Porter, who's already scored himself 1 try in this exciting Six Nations fixture. James Ryan. Well, not James Ryan. James Lowe. All by himself down this bottom side. But instead Connor Murray spins. Gets held up again. Or does he? Did he get it down this time? It looks a lot closer. One of the French players saying he's knocked it on, but I think that could be just lucky enough to be the try for Connor Murray. Not to my mate Jonathan says I only wanted to know, or wanted you to know he's tipsy. Hello, Jonathan. Hope you do not have a hangover tomorrow. I watched this channel because of load shedding. I'm not going to fry my TV with a generator, says Roloff. And that's the one, me too. And also we have got there, none given, do your job, I'm Irish, Says Paris there. All right, okay, fair enough. 8 seconds left. They're actually going to take on the 3 points now, Ireland. I wish that England and other countries would stop bringing up the records from many years ago. Says Ivan. It's on a vinegar flavoured potato chips with sour cream dip. And also, we have got their Wayne Barnes. The wrong ref for this game. The modern game is a lot different, says Ivan. And there as well. Oh, yeah, he's just knocked it on, unfortunately, Conor Murray, which one of the French players did do the little tap-tap. I have to say it has gone forward. But if Ireland get this conversion over, they will go into the break with 6 points as their lead. I wish your hairstyle is looking good. Says Gary, thank you very much. This part really annoys me, though, because it's not long enough to fit into the, it's gonna behave for a second. Now, half time in this contest. The kick goes over from Sexton. And it's been a hectic first half, 22 points to 16. And thank goodness it's halftime, we can all breathe. And he's the same person who wants to punch my other friend for what he did on Tuesday. And the modern game is a lot different and good match, toe to toe. Or time for toe. Or time for tay. Says Barry. And Aviva Stadium always been an Irish fortress with another 40 to go. It's interesting because they were talking about stats beforehand. France at the moment playing up against Ireland, 3 wins in a row in the Six Nations. But this Irish side just looking a lot better than we've seen in previous years. They were unlucky last year as well with that game in France. It went down to the wire. Everywhere from the World Rugby moment is terrible, says Yanri. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because we see the likes of a DRS or something in cricket for an LBW, something along those lines. Yet even when they've got computing technology, people are like, that's wrong. So you wonder if they ever got to the stage of being so technologically forwarded that they'd decide to actually go with some sort of like robot ref. As an example, I don't think they'll do this. But if they went with a robot ref, people would still say that the robot ref is wrong. You know, it's a very tricky one. Rugby's a hard game to referee because if you're looking at every breakdown, you could almost find something, but it's just making that decision of what ones you're actually going to call, and you got to make sure you're consistent across the board. Those two teams are good, Hamish. You got to respect them. Says Roloff. Exactly right. I feel like it just shows how strong one side of the Rugby World Cup draw is going to end up being, because we've got New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, and France. That's the chance that could be the way that it does say as the quarterfinals on one side. Why Rugby not making use of technology, for example, giving 3 reviews to teams? They did try a review system at one point, the Captain's Challenge. I believe that was during either the Bunnings EPC or Super Rugby, and they didn't really like how much it slowed the game down. How many tries that have we missed? Says Connor. I mean, they've got 3, but they've left 1 or 2 out there. You'd have to say hearing failed HIA and Antoine only given the yellow. Or Antonio only given the yellow. Yes, probably, like we mentioned, very lucky when you're streaming cricket next. Probably some stage during the week for New Zealand versus England. You have to make sure you're there for that live stream. We did do some of the India versus Australia, and hardly any of the cricket followers, I guess you could say, actually showed up for that one. Want to try to save a tackle by 2 point. Yeah, very nice from the number 9 from France. Working hard. And also, we have got there. What a game. It's making me more excited for the World Cup. Check Insta as well. Phone. Have to find the phone first. And also, not a bad halftime result for France, considering the position Ireland had. I was like, howdy, hey, brother. Hope you're well. And do you think, are we maybe watching the next World Cup final, possibly? What's your thoughts being a Kiwi? Says Kev. I know it's going to be a possibility of actually being a quarterfinal match, isn't it? So if this is a quarterfinal game, I feel like it's definitely going to be an underrated contest, because a lot of people might not realize how strong both of these sides are at this point. Like, we've seen some good opportunities throughout this matchup. You remember they trail and out in the NPC, slowing the game down. And I guess one of the new rule changes, they have decided to try and speed that up a little bit more. And if said robot ref malfunctions goes haywire, we'll need John and Sarah Connor to prevent the rise of Skynet developing Terminators. Imagine that, though. Imagine in like 10 or 15 years' time, seeing a robot running around on the field. Like, it just looks so weird, wouldn't it? And yeah, brother, I hope you're well. I didn't see you there. says Scrumless, and also we were there. It's Super Bowl soon, go the Eagles. And some game says Gerard, yeah. The moment, it's definitely one that could go either way. Currently 6 points difference. Here is the phone. I knew it was somewhere, but I didn't actually. Pretty much, I set about 7 alarms this morning to make sure that I didn't end up falling asleep through this contest. Not through it, but as in sleeping right through the night, which we didn't want, of course. I would have woken up a bit later on and gone, oh no. And it's a game of 2 halves, guys. Remember, says Martin, yeah. Ireland, 6-point lead, very good at the moment, but that can all change quickly. If France score themselves an early try in the second half, all of a sudden, we've got, once again, a 1-point contest. Either way, whether they get the conversion or not. I'm a Chargers fan in the NFL. I'm going for the Eagles because my mum's the biggest Eagles fan you ever meet. Ireland beat the top. Should be more points ahead, says Michael. Yeah, there's a couple chances for the Irish when they've been about 5 meters out, just getting held up that little bit. I mean, Conor Murray, he's been close twice, but both times has failed to get over the try line. And also, we have there Jordan Maitala, the man. Hopefully I've said that correctly. And also, we have got there, will you do YouTube forever? Or at any moment, will you quit? Says Coding. I mean, I don't know whether YouTube will be around forever. Is that kind of side of things. But I haven't got any plans of stopping doing YouTube anytime soon that I know of. So that's probably good news in some regards. Keeps me busy. Sometimes too busy. We've got a lot of GoPro cricket footage to go through from playing earlier on today. So that video hopefully will be out in about maybe 4 days' time with the amount that we've got. And last 20 will decide this, says Barris. And greetings to Kiwi lads dropping by for a few minutes. Give the stream a like. My fingernails are chewed to the elbow. I think Ireland deserved the lead, but can't take France for granted. Exactly right. And I think that's the beauty of this game. Both sides know how strong the opposition are and know that they can get straight back into it. And second half will show which team will grab this game by the scruff of the neck. And the question is, how early do France decide to make those subs? We mentioned that extra 60 kgs that they have in the scrum, and that's definitely going to be playing factor later on, depending on how long they do leave them out on the field. James Lowe can fly, says Yoni. Yeah, the fact that he somehow, I know there was debate of whether it was a try or no try, but the fact that his body, or his feet more specifically, if that's the line and whatnot, he somehow went, these are his legs. This is James Lowe. Yep, that'll do. So he was running, as you do, running along. And as he jumped, he kind of went like this. He started going down and then somehow managed to go back up. Not that high. That would be like a full, 2 meters. He'd probably get called a witch if that happened, or a wizard. But, yeah, been playing too much Hogwarts Legacy. That's a new game that's come out, isn't it? I have to play it. Some point Ireland win, says actually, and how is that not a red? I think a majority, even some of the French players were probably asking that same question. So they'll be very lucky, I think is the best way of putting it. Because they said that because it hit the shoulder and bounced up, they said that the contact wasn't as heavy. But Rob Herring's failed his HIA because he got absolutely walloped. Yet they still say somehow it's a bit lighter and it's not as hard or something along those lines. And how is that not a red? Oh, no, I read that one just then, didn't I? And I'm watching the radar. It's close. Pretty rough out here right now in Auckland, says Nazi Williams. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't end up too wet this time, but I think it is going to be pretty heavy. And you're a wizard, Mr. Lowe. And his legs rose from the momentum of the French tackler, says Mr. Fantastic. But even so, being that close to the ground and then almost kicking upwards in some regards is still a very good control of your limbs. You know, and identical to the yellow in the NRL All-Star game last night. Says, is that Pate or Patty? It might be Patty, is it? And also Barnes made sure it's yellow and not the red, says he spot. Well, even his assistant referee was kind of like, huh? When he said that it was not as hard. And now we just wait to see the second half. The second 40 is going to fly by as well, I have a feeling. I hope it goes slow. I hope it goes extremely slow so we get to watch as much of it as possible. Mind you, others we're way worse off. I won't complain, says Nazi Williams there. And also must be another day in the Aussie state of Victoria, or VC, with those two aforementioned sports are being more popular. Wingers are a different breed, says Mr. Fantastic. They certainly are. Seeing James Lowe score in this game. We saw Damien Pinot do an absolutely beautiful bit of work between him and also Geelong. He was involved in that, which I think was why it seemed so weird that Geelong dropped that ball only 5 meters out from his own line, because he had such a good game. And that should have been a red. Aki was sent off for less, and rightfully so. The players need to be protected, says Mountains of Asylum. Well, rugby, state no reds in the finals, says Paris. And also, I feel bad for Conor Murray getting so close 3 times. Here's Zioni. Yeah, if he doesn't score, and the worst thing is, if he doesn't score and Ireland end up losing, he's going to get a lot of stick. If he doesn't score and Ireland win, then people will go, well, it's not that bad. So I kind of hope he gets over the line in the second half, just so that he can say, well, at least I've got one type thing. And also, I start TAFE on Monday. So I'm going to binge the Virgin River series, enjoy my final day on summer break. Says Amelia. Schlong says Fluffy. Who's Schlong? One of them, I guess. And Barnes should have been sanctioned for poor officiating, says Leonardo da Vinci. Oh, Leonardo da Vinci. That's the painter, isn't it? Or the artist, sorry. Sure, he wouldn't like being called a painter. And good ref in general, other than the yellows, says Garen. And also, we would be come on France, says Gareth. Matt Hansen was everywhere that half. 2 Irish wingers a top drawer, says Thick Boy. And Wayne Barnes must be the only man on earth that thought there was a yellow card, says Mark. But I guess it does also show that the assistant referees, as much as they don't agree, most of them don't really speak up, because we saw that face made by the assistant. He was like, when Wayne Barnes said like there was less contact, but there was a lot of contact. And Barnes will run out of Ireland and swim back to England and hit that like button. Says Yoni, hugely appreciate it, mate. I just realized we've done 40. In fact, we've been live for 1 hour and 6 minutes, and I haven't once said, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm a bit rough at this YouTube stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Could be because it's the middle of the night here in New Zealand, or it might just also be because I'm not good at marketing. But anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Agree, Matthew Carley didn't look too convinced. There's marketing, he didn't drop for the tackle full stop, says Kieran. And like the fact that they're saying he slightly brushed the shoulder and then hit him in the neck, like there was still a lot of force that was coming in. They're just showing the highlights of New Zealand versus Argentina. I remember watching that game live, and the Pumas are getting themselves that victory in the sevens. I'm excited for Argentina's World Cup, because they're one of those sides that are very hard to know what we're going to see from them. Like, if they have a good rugby championship, who knows how they'll go. And some would say they are on the nicer side of the draw. Rassia's back. Told Nick Mallet not to talk on Twitter. Those South Africans like the game, says Roloff. Wait, so he told someone to not talk trash on Twitter, where that is literally what a lot of people know Rassia Rasmus for. Good. And cop out by Barnes, says Barry, and the Irish Mafia out in full force, says Gareth. It's going to be a good second half. 40 minutes doesn't feel like long enough. And when Barnes will probably down at Paddy's Powers betting shop, wearing a fake mustache and sunglasses, and putting money for no red cards for France. Do the Irish have a space program? I have no idea. I mean, James Lowe, he was defying gravity, so ask him, I think. And there's also a big shot to Vanden Flower's head at the ruck that didn't get spotted. The officials will have a rough Monday debrief, says Mark. I think that's unfortunately becoming more and more the reality of a lot of fixtures. Am I right in saying that compared to somewhere around 2020, refereeing has, I feel bad for saying it, but refereeing has seemed to go downhill anyway in terms of the decision-making type thing. And that could also be because there's so many rules or laws that they're now trying to follow, and everyone's interpreting it different, which makes it very hard. Now, Hamish late checking in between load shedding here in South Africa, so welcome in, Penelope. Hope you're doing well. Your Irish University, an Irish university helps with the space industry. We don't have much of a program, says Yoni. There you go. I did not know that, so thank you very much that information. I don't know a lot about Ireland, to be fair. I know that George and his family hire a lot of Irish workers on their farm each year, and a lot of them have gone back, including Muzzer. Some of you know Murray, or not Murray, not the Murray from cricket, but the other Murray, which is Stephen Murray. He's gone back to Ireland. He loves a vodka Red Bull. Got George to drink about 5 of them one night. Loves it. Right, back into the second half. Ireland, they will be ready to go, and they will be kicking off the second half. Brilliant. Britain had a space flight a few weeks ago, which failed. Not 100% sure what they'd done. Says Mr. Fantastic up the Irish, says Patrick. And there as well on Ireland, says Axis. Right, second 40 minutes, just on the verge of starting. Ireland to kick this one off. Only 6 points difference between them. Taken deep by the French, who are now back to 15 men on the field. And Dupont needs to stop pop passing to his forward and put his forwards under so much pressure, says Xavier. Yeah, there was that one to Geelong, which I don't think was supposed to go to him, and did almost cost them a try in the end. It's kicked downfield from France. Now Hugo Keenan running it up to the halfway line, tries to go through Flamand and Bailly. That wasn't going to work. Now Josh van der Flair, tackled by Geelong. I mentioned before the match how excited I was to see the loose forwards go head-to-head. Nice inside ball to Mac Hansen. Moving up to 40 metres out now, the Irish. Sexton goes across. Good shot on Caelan Doris. But this won't mind Ireland one bit. They'll just look for phase after phase here. Sexton off to Josh van den Flair again, taken by Intermac. And once again, Geelong involved early. Beelham goes up now. Sexton, cut out pass. Peter O'Mahony's done brilliantly because that ball was well and truly behind him in the pass. Now Murray looking for the kick here. Seems like an interesting choice, but Mac Hansen will be chasing after it. Does not quite take it cleanly, and it bounced onto the side of the French. I wonder if that was the right time to go for the kick there for Ireland, or whether they should have just hit it up a few more times, perhaps. Now Dupont, I believe he will be going for the kick of his own. This is, of course, the first of 2 Six Nations fixtures we got today. The next one, Scotland versus Wales. We will be covering that one on the channel as well, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Mac Hansen now going across to Hugo Keenan. Nice step there. Now Conor Murray into box kick as well. It looks like it's going to be the term that we use a lot in the second half, just the early kicks from both sides. Dupont goes short side. Oh, he was almost round, but McCloskey, Owl, just shuffle across and stop him. Now Ramos kicks it in behind, goes to Murray. Now after Hugo Keenan, you'll never guess what happened next. It's a kick, and that one's a good one. Down into the 22. Mark taken by Thomas Ramos. Mostly rugby for the doll, says Fluffy. And also we have good there. What I know about Ireland is that they are the same as New Zealand. Both use rugby as their unemployed national programs. And Ireland investing in sevens now these days. It's like Fiji doing the same in 15s with the Super Rugby team of their own, making it possible, says Sammy Souza. And it's great to see the progression we're seeing, because even like rugby union-wise, the last 2 years, we've seen so many of the lower-ranked sides improving drastically, which makes for a very exciting World Cup in only about 6 months' time, which is absolutely awesome. Like someone like in Argentina, Georgia even, like they've come a very long way in their rugby, and they just keep on getting better. Italy in the Six Nations going toe-to-toe with France last week just add so much more excitement and so much more unpredictability into the competitions as we go forward. Johnny Sexton across to James Ryan, 30 metres out now, Ireland. Still looking to find that gap, not rushing it at the moment. Hugo Keenan breaking through the tackle of Galfiku. Short side for Caelan Doris. Miracle offload there to James Lowe down the wing. I think he's knocked the ball on. He has. He tried to rush it a little bit, just as I said that they weren't rushing. Or what? No, okay. So they've actually said that France have ended up with that coming off them instead. Almost a bit of shepherding. Accidentally, 2 players running in the same spot. Now Tyke Byrne. Ball's available again for Conor Murray. Knocked off his feet. Ball's loose. Does still stay on the side of the men in green. Now James Ryan going to be playing halfback. Finlay Beelham lined up. And a great tackle made by Paul Willemser. Looks like he's hurt himself. No, he's good. He was just stuck. Ball's come free, Ireland. Not great ball security there. Damien Pinot now down the wing looking to try and break through. In fact, it's going to be the left winger instead. Still staying on his feet. Breaking tackles. Doesn't want to offload. And now Mac Hansen on the ball. It bounces out. If that ball stayed in the breakdown, he would have got that penalty. Galfiku tries to charge it. Tries to kick it and it's charged down. Now Josh Van den Fleur driving forward. Ireland may have just about lost this one in the breakdown. They have penalty to France. This one's going to be played at a high tempo in the second half. And also looked forward to this all week. And you're on top form, as you're on the action when it matters, says Eric. And yeah, it has been a fun game to watch. I'll be honest. Like, there are times when big matches that people look forward to for a long time don't deliver. This one's delivering so far. We've seen some good moments from both sides. You can tell how much both teams want to win this contest because a Six Nations title may actually pretty much be completely determined by this matchup. As you can see, Ireland and France both getting themselves the 5 points in that first round. If Ireland win, they will extend their lead getting up to the 10 points. And that puts a lot of extra pressure on Scotland to make sure that they get themselves the next victory. Right? All the limbs are going to be coming off the field now for the French. He doesn't look too happy about it. And also Tyke Byrne, the lock for Ireland, looks like he's got a relatively serious knee or leg injury of some sort. He's been taken off the field, unfortunately. And now Ian Henderson will make his way out onto the park. And that's the last thing you want. Big, serious injuries. I don't know how serious it is. But anyone who ends up with some sort of serious injury now, you're almost missing the World Cup, unfortunately. And Blues, I love it. At least we have competition now. And also we have got there, I spent 5 years going into troubled schools and teaching kids rugby, sponsored by IRFU, says, and they're from Para. I mean, that's the starting point in terms of getting people into rugby. You got to try and get them while they're young so that they then grow up playing the game so it's not so hard to get into when you're a little bit later on. Because, you know, some players do start late, but a majority have already been playing by the time they're 16. And that seems to be kind of that late-ish cutoff that you'd have. And also, we have got there, I hope you didn't call them mutts as well, Para. True. Yeah, I'm sure the kids wouldn't have been too happy about that. And also, will Karevi return to the Wallabies in time? I think he should. At the end of the day, like, the amount of rehab and amount of technology and everything that they've got for players now, Karevi should be good to go. He's got a while, though, so it might be tight. Grassroots says, Kev, that kick's unsuccessful from France. The first kick that has not gone over from Thomas Ramos, and it just didn't quite have the legs. Just going short. The distance was there, and things not looking great for France, says Luke. And also, we have got Murrayfield Celts versus Celts. A close match. Looking forward to it, says Mick Brown. And yeah, we will be covering that one straight after this game, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. That one is kicking off in an hour and 15 minutes time or so. Now, France trying to run it back with Charles Olivon. In fact, sorry, it's the man who we've hardly mentioned, Gregory Aldred. And I believe if you're looking at someone to sub off, it's probably going to be him in that loose forward trio, just because we haven't seen too much of him at all. Now into Mac. Kicks it again. Both sides going with the kicking tactic in the second half, it would seem. Hugo Keenan takes it nicely. And now a lot of pressure. Counter ruck from France. Have they done enough? They sure have, and they've got the ball back. Now Dupont goes to Serubai Galfiku. Looks for space near the breakdown. It just doesn't quite open up when this Irish defence is on the money like they have been today. Serubai goes to Intermac now. Around the side, Damien Pinot thought about the kick, instead going to keep on running to 5 metres out from the line. Dupont available now again for France. Short ball to Julien Marchand. Good work from Miklowski on the ball. Wins the penalty for Ireland. And the crowd are very happy with that one as it's a battle between roast potatoes and boiled potatoes, says Gareth. Are the French known for boiled potatoes? I did not know that. I know that they do have escargot in France, which is something I have not tried, nor would I try. Just because ain't that keen on eating a snail, you know? Mainly because I've watched them like crawl, and also I have too much of an attachment to Gary from SpongeBob. So I feel like that would be harsh. And another game next of your awesome positive energy, Hamish, Christmas time, mate. Says Nazi Williams there. Come on, Vive la France. And McCluskey pronounced McCluskey. Oh, did I say it wrong? Have I said a U or I said an O rather than a U? Sorry about that. McCluskey. Now I've confused myself. McCluskey. Sorry. Get a bit excited. And French are known for Le Congo. There's Leonard there. McCluskey. Johnny Sexton off the field. Good game from him. He's had some very good running meters throughout this matchup. Snails all right. And also come on, Viva la France. Says Neil. It's claimed there by Ian Henderson. Come on, Ireland. Sexton is gone, says Barry. He is indeed. Just being taken off the park now, looking to counter. In the ruck there, Gregory Eldred not able to get it. And now Connor Murray puts it high and straight up almost. That one only going to travel about the 5 metre slap back by France, but it's into the hands of Mac Hansen, who looked for his offload. Does end up going backwards off the hand of an Irishman. Murray going now to Caelan Doris. No, in fact, it was that time James Ryan and Le Bonjour, says Leonard. And Ross is a great sub anyway. Yeah, Ross Byrne, it's that question that has been lurking for a lot of Irish supporters for a time and a half, which is once Sexton goes, is it going to be Ross Byrne? Is it going to be Joey Carberry? Who else have they got? Kieran Frawley, another option. Is that the right guy, Kieran Frawley? Or is that an English cricketer? Now Dupont, beautiful, finding the offload. And the French trying to do it with a bit of flair at the moment. Mo Fana taken down low. Once again, McCluskey almost able to get over the ball. Got it right that time. Now Dupont. Jonathan Ramos. Galficu. Now goes for one more pass. Chipped in behind. Oh, he's taken out by Hugo Keenan. That looked very dirty. They might have to check that one because I don't believe he was really going for the ball. And they're in Dublin. And please, France, just finished them. Dupont having some game. He's playing extremely well. Did he go for the ball here? Nah, see, for me, he hasn't. He's taken him out. Hugo Keenan's given away that penalty there, in my opinion. And Ireland have made 2 poor decisions when tied. Are we up for grabs on choosing the weaker direction to attack, says Wayno. Is this going to be a penalty? Maybe not. Maybe they won't go for it. Geez, here we go. Why Ireland standing off on the tackle, says Kieran. Yeah, you can't afford to give the French too much space. Definitely not with the strong offload game that they've got. It's actually not going to be a penalty to France for that one. They're going to say it's all good. I thought it was a little bit... Oh, well, I guess I was going to say it was a little bit earlier that Sexton had that same scenario, but they didn't actually give Sexton the penalty. They said that it was just the advantage. And also, Ireland have made 2 questionable decisions on the direction of attack. Now, Thomas Ramos kicks it high. It should have been a penalty. I don't know about a penalty try, but I thought it was a penalty anyway for the French number 11. And now he's been penalised for taking a player out in the year, I believe. And Connor Murray. Player has gone down. And just normal rugby stuff, I guess, as a save of this match. It has to end in a draw, says Leonard. Is that for the chance of the world rankings, I guess, Leonard? Overall, maybe. Who's better, Prime Smith or Dupont now? Ooh. Well, the benefit of Dupont is he's still got plenty of years left under the belt. So, if you're going for... Well, I guess Prime Smith would have had plenty of years under the belt. At the moment, I would say that Dupont, in terms of the unorthodox that he's got, he can run it, he can kick it. Aaron Smith, very good with his passing, which is something Dupont has been working on hard. That's going to be a not straight line out from Ireland, so the French will end up with this ball in the scrum. And I also don't know what game you're looking at, Gareth. Says Martin, also this ref is so bad, such an influenced man by the home team, says Yanri. Earlier on, people were saying that he was influenced because he could speak French, and now they're switching to say that he's influenced by the home team. So I guess if people think he's influenced by both teams, that means he's kind of doing a good job. A little bit, because then at least there's decisions that people think should have gone against both sides. Does that make sense? The World Cup, it's in the Philippines 2027. Is it? Did Australia give it up? Oh, Sekou Makalu, he's a good player. Very good player. It is Gregory Aldrit who makes way for Sekou Makalu, the Stade Francais player who is absolutely brilliant when it comes to running that ball. Will just pump those legs all day. In a draw, so Scotland can win the Six Nations. I see. And Sexton last week, Murray today. We're now going to Premier Soccer, says Paris. I mean, we didn't really see Sexton dive, though. It was more just the case of he just took a bit longer to get up because he got hit. It's not going on about the ref, says Kieran. Yeah, it's one of those ones that no matter what happens in any game of rugby, referees are going to be the talking point, unfortunately, which is something that I wish wasn't the case, but it just seems to be the way that it seems to always end up going. I wish it didn't, though. Right, it's kicked him behind by Dupont. That's going to go into touch. Yes, it does. La Blues. And the game has so progressed since it's all gone professional years ago. There was such an unfair disadvantage. What a different game we have now. I hope it never goes like soccer and ruins it, says Kev there. And Scotland are winning the Six Nations anyway, says Gareth. And also rugby is always about the ref, says Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic, yeah. A referee could have a perfect game, but because there was one penalty that some people feel wasn't right, even if it was, that will be what a majority of people talk about for the fixture. There's already been a few talking points throughout this game that people have said about. Conor Murray, ball at the back. I think he's going to get a relatively long game out there today, Conor Murray, with the way that he has been playing. Sekou Makalu, he's got him, and he's going to keep on holding him. Oh, they've called it as a tackle. It was almost a rolling ball, which would have then had a good chance of being a French's ball. But now Conor Murray once again, the box kick. Both sides, methodical start to the second half. No one going too aggressive. They don't want to make the mistakes. Thomas Ramos kicking low. Murray waits for this one to bounce up inside of his 22. Has cut down his angle, so you'd assume he's not kicking this one into touch. In fact, it does not find the touchline now. Ian Henderson was off the field. I'm wondering what was going on there. I think he was just trying to cover the kicking option. Matt Hansen taking that one nicely. Had into Mac charging at him. James Lowe now kicking downfield off his less favourable boot. But it's going to be taken by Thomas Ramos again. Covering a lot of ground. Hugo Keenan to clean up that one inside of the 22. Now the big boot. Managed to get it down almost into the French 22 there. In fact, it does go in, which means Thomas Ramos will be able to touch. And that ball's gone out. Brilliant kick going about 60 metres down the field there. And that will now be 40 metres out from the Irish line. They have got themselves the line out. And also we have got the New Zealand South Africa fans always bad about the refs, says Kieran. Or in fact, from my, I guess, experience of live streaming, it has become more than just, I know New Zealand and South Africa get the bad rap, but a lot of teams now, unfortunately. And it's a shame because a lot of brilliant games of rugby get diminished because of one decision that people keep in their minds, you know? But yeah, due to having an audience from a majority of rugby countries, we've seen every country multiple times mention about the referees. Now, 40 out from the Irish line. France hanging on to this one. Oh, almost managing to get a little bit of a snipe around the side was Dumatois. He's just given it away, though, but it has gone backwards now. Julien Marchand goes to Finlay Bellum. Rob Herring maybe taking off the ball. Now kicked him behind from France, going for the territory game. Doesn't find touch. Hugo Keenan will kick this one back downfield again. Doesn't find touch. Ramos again. This is just a seesaw at the moment of kicking and kicking and kicking. Someone's going to break through soon. You can just tell. Damien Pinot gives it off to Dumatois? Something like that. Not that last one. That last one sounded horrid. 40 out. It's when I find out that's actually his name, the one that I said that I thought was wrong. Passing behind the player. Nicely taken by Charles Olivier Dupont. Going across the intermax. Short ball now. Just phase after phase here for the French. I hope they don't kick this one away. Hope instead they do continue to attack. They are inside. Okay, they kicked it away. Never mind. Now he's giving it straight to James Lowe, who's booted it in behind, but it's going to slowly banana kick. Great work from James Lowe. Gaining meters, celebrating it as well with his side. Are we staying up for Wales, Scotland? Big respect to you for doing that. If you do, just loving the rugby. Yep, we are indeed. We are going to be doing that game. And also, we are going to be covering England versus Italy tomorrow. It is going to be at 4 a.m. And also, we have got there in the chat who hates the Irish more, the rest of the world, or the Irish themselves, is Gareth. Interesting question. Depends if they're winning, I guess. And I blame the ref, and I'm definitely not a Kiwi or South African. And also, we have got the English, I presume, says Kieran. Or it looks like Craig Casey going to be making his way out onto the field. So actually getting a little bit more time than I thought he would. Maybe they feel that Murray's kicking might be costing them a little bit here. Jack Conan also coming out onto the field. And it looks like a couple more changes being made by the French side as well. They've got a strong bench. Taufa Fanua's there. Sekou Makhlu, like I mentioned. Kuyu, Jalibert also available. I believe they've put on Wardy and also Falatia at this point. Big shout out to my brother who's 60 today. Happy birthday, Mark. Happy birthday, Mark. Hope you do have a good 60th birthday. Not sure if you stay up till 4 a.m. to watch rugby, but if you do, hope you do get some sleep at some point. Although, also don't drink too heavily on the 60th. You don't want to be hungover for Monday. I've learnt that I'm pouring concrete on Monday after England versus Italy, so that will be fun. Kick downfield again. A lot of open space this time for the Irish. Is that a 50-22? It was close. Was it? It was. Great kick from Hugo Keenan. And that might just be the momentum shifter that the Irish needed. Yeah, he was inside of his own half, 5 meters inside, and got that 50-22. He does. And it'll find a lock in the local pub. And as an Irishman, South Africa beaten CW, beaten, is that Alan Wynn? No, not too sure. Is this live, says Omi? It is indeed live. Although we can't show match footage, sadly, due to copyright. But at the moment, it's been a very exciting first 57 minutes. Slowed down a little bit more in the second half. But I believe that's just because the two sides know that a mistake here could cost them the contest. Craig Casey goes short now. Here comes the Irish, not too far out at all. And Byrne almost going in. Galfiku, he was off the line. It might not matter. They're just short. Doesn't try and claim that one. Instead, gets that ball back out to Craig Casey for one last crack now for the Irish again in this attacking position. They've got numbers on the left. They've got to go wide if they can. Craig Casey goes to Byrne over the top. Great hands from James Lowe. Just manages to stay almost in the field of play. No, he's out now, but they're going back for the advantage. Right, come and says Kev. And also it's Demortier. Okay, see, I've always struggled with that name. Out of the whole lineup, Demortier is the one name that hasn't quite felt natural. Demortier. I'll remember it that way of spelling it in. Your little workout concreting. It is. It's going to be fun. And good way to dispose of the bodies in concreting. Says Fluffy. Not really when there's other people on the building site. And so on the screen is an image that shows 48 minutes gone. Yeah, it's a bit slow. There we go. 58. It's now just updated. It's weird. My mouse has to be in the exact position on my screen or else it does end up going weird. And what's harder to pronounce, Islander names or France? I'll probably go French names to a certain extent, but once you get the hang of the letters and kind of the sounds, a lot easier. Slightly shorter as well than some of those Islander names. Our France offside, but Ireland is never offside, says Jan Rinel. That is a good question. I couldn't tell you. Maybe they've got a foot behind the line. That's normally how you stay on site. That's going to be over the posts. And 25 points to 16 now. Nice lead. And Demortier is how that is pronounced, methinks. Says Simi Souza. And yes, come on, Ireland, says Martin. And French is natural. And we're number one. Discipline, says Kieran. It's going to be important for the last 20 minutes, certainly. Now into Matt, kicks off long. Deep into the 22, Ireland. Might look to kick this one early instead. It looks like they're going to try and run this one out. In fact, no, now Hansen decides the right decision, which was getting that one out of there. They did not want to risk giving the ball away to France inside of the 22. Although Thomas Ramos, huge amount of space there with his run. Moving to 30 meters out now from the Irish line. It will be Dupont. Going now into Matt Galfiku. Nice pass to Damien Pinot. Sekou Makalu when he gets his legs driving. It's very, very hard to stop him. Dupont up to the 22. Now the French go. That'll be the replacement of Reda Wardy. Nice run from Talfafanua again. Looking for phases here, France. Just hanging on to it, making sure they don't make that massive error of dropping it. Now Damien Pinot wrestles for a couple extra meters, but they've been driven back to 25. Nice attack and run from Falatia there. Now the pawn again goes short. Off to the side. Brilliant shot put in there. Galfiku, first receiver. Looks like Porter's got him, but he's got a knee down. They can play on just for now. Dupont now goes back across here. Big bump off from Mofana. Well handled by Byrne. Up to 10 phases now for France, and they are yet to really cross too far into that 22. They're quite compact with the way that they are standing at the moment, but if they can get this ball wide, perhaps that space will start opening up. Dupont now considering inside pass off to Fiku, both on the same page. Drop kick attempt here from Thomas Ramos. It's gone over from France. Now, that's a different tactic we haven't seen. Wait, no, he's missed. It didn't look great. No, it has gone over. It stayed. I thought that they were saying it was going back for a penalty of some sort. Sekou Makalu, though, was actually the man on the inside. Yep, just snuck in the upright. Good kick. And I guess that's one strategic play from France here to get them back within the 7, which is what they do. World ranking is nonsense and I'm Irish, says Kieran. Yeah, I feel like, am I right in saying, to a certain extent, World Cup is the best way of ranking sides, but then it's those like years afterwards that are very hard to tell where everyone is sitting, because like you go first, second, third, fourth, and then everyone else is kind of hard to tell. But then, like at the moment, both of these sides, they do deserve to be right up there anyway, because they've had some very good plays recently. Ireland, brilliant tour in New Zealand, getting themselves the series win. France on a massive winning streak at the moment, looking to continue it. Nice wide pass there. James Lowe, that was a terrible little kick, but it's actually worked strategically in his favour. Now Ireland decide to take the quick tap as the Frenchman did go into touch. Now Tom O'Toole gets a crack. Casey going now to Andrew Porter. Byrne, first receiver. Ringrose considered the skip pass, but instead does get tackled by Ole Horn. Craig Casey again around the side, going to Henderson. And Ireland, I'll have to say, they are making easier meters than France did. Each and every carry, they're making maybe about those 2 or 3 minimum, compared to France, who did just find themselves getting smacked up against that 22 and just not quite getting in anymore. Now Byrne goes to James Lowe through the hands of Ringrose. Bit of a mistake, but he does manage to regather, although this time Intermac takes him down. And just as I was praising them, they did lose a bit of ground. Great kick behind from Craig Casey. Curling gone into touch beautifully. And now France will have the line out only 10 metres out from their own line, but good pressure being put on by the Irish here. The midway point of the second half. Ireland is very good in defence, says Kev Shaw, and good kick Casey. And Ireland are getting a bit narrow in attack, says Kieran. I think both teams are to a certain extent. They don't want that little pick and go around the side of the breakdown from the opposition to lead to that line break. Yeah, maybe a risky pass at some stage we might see from either side. It's whether or not that risk leads to reward. Now taken nicely by France, but bounces up for Jack Kona. Dupont just took that one a little bit too casually, and because of it now, Ireland have this ball 10 metres out from the line, and that's also got to be down to that great kick from Craig Casey to get within the 10 metres. Now Ireland, 5 out. This could be for the bonus point. If they get one more, they get the extra one on the board. He's going to be on his back. Goal line dropout. I cannot find a stream, says Matt. Whereabouts are you trying to watch from, Matt? Do let me know, and I'll try my best to give you your option. Just because in the UK, a lot of these games are free to air, but depending on whereabouts you are outside of the UK, a lot of them are subscription-based, which does involve having to pay for them, unfortunately. But the highlights will be on YouTube straight after the game on the Six Nations YouTube channel. I highly recommend checking that out. It's Hugo Keenan, the best fullback in the world. Says River Power. Hard to tell whether or not best, but he's certainly up there. The way that he's been playing consistently over the last, like consistency-wise, you'd have to say he's right up there too. Because he really has a bad game, which is exactly what you want for your number 15, Ian Henderson. Craig Casey now going off to the left-hand side, almost breaking through Hugo Keenan. He does go short to Tom O'Toole. Now Andrew Porter, he's having a big game because 65 minutes in, he scored himself a try and already is still going quickly at this point. And the VPN says, Kieran, and then it's almost the old 5-meter scrum whenever it's out up over the line. That is one rule that I wish they would go back to if they were going to change one, is that attacking 5-meter scrum. Now, France over the ball. Telfa Fanua, he's like a freight train. Well, he's kind of like a parked bus. Very hard to move it. An Ireland there. And it's Gary Ringrose having a good game. He's had a relatively solid game. Hasn't lit the world on fire in terms of what he's done overall, but still's had some good moments. You'd say McCluskey out of those two's probably had the better game, just with a few big carries and also getting that turnover. And also, why did the law change for holding up a try? It changed at the same time as that 50-22, didn't it? So I guess they were like, if we're going to change one rule, whatever rules we want to change, we better change now so that people don't get confused as we slowly change them. But they decided better off smacking it all at once rather than slowly spacing. Ireland Fitness will tell, says Kieran, but I mentioned the fact that France, they went with that extra, almost an extra man in their fullback with an extra 60 kgs in their forwards. And it's kind of showing because they have made a lot of their subs. Ireland are sitting in that same boat. In fact, McCluskey now going off the field. And that is for Bundy Aki. Come on, France. Good morning, Hamish. Up, ready to go to work. Have a good day, buddy, says Sarah Hunter. You too, mate. Was that a high tackle? It was close. It was right up there. 66 minutes. Andrew Porter's nose is bleeding. I think he's going to keep going. Who have they got as their replacement number 1? They've got Dave Kilcoyne. Okay, so they've decided to hold him off till maybe the last 10 minutes or so. Aki the man, says Kieran. I have to say, the fellow who was shaking all of the hands before, I think he's the president of Irish Rugby. I could be very wrong in that statement, but he was someone who was very important. Him and Bundy Aki almost did an embrace, and I think that was the only player who got that kind of treatment. So he must be closer than Bundy Aki, or just he's a well-known individual, isn't he? Many of us regular lovers are often confused. Yeah, I spend a lot of my time on these live streams sitting here trying to work out what exactly is going on. That might also be because I can hardly hear the commentary. So that might also not help because I'm kind of guessing majority of the time. Kicked him on from Jalabert. Waits for the jump, waits for the bounce, and doesn't get it. Hugo Keenan was there. Takes it nicely. James Lowe, long way off his wing, gives it to Matt Hansen. Winger to winger at the moment, but they were standing next to each other. Now, ball available for Craig Casey at the back. The president, that's president of Ireland. So not the president of Irish Rugby, but the president of Ireland instead, Michael Higgins. I knew there was some sort of presidential side of things in there, but I wasn't sure of exactly whether it was the rugby president or the president. Nice run from Tom O'Toole. How long left? 13 minutes. Still left on the clock at the moment in this contest. Now, almost stolen by France. Grub it in behind. Byrne kicking it deep. Is it going to drift into touch? Oh, it hits the corner flag. And Pinot does manage to force it. They've said it's going to be a goal line dropout. Very lucky that one hit it. He's from Connacht, says Kieran there. And Porter, man of the match today. He's had a brilliant performance. Andrew Porter. If they don't give it to him, they might consider James Lowe, but I don't think he's had that same effect as Andrew Porter's had to a certain extent. And also we have got there, I like the video guys, that helps with the algorithm, more viewers for Hamish, says Deborah. Once again, I've just remembered, I have not said leave a like and subscribe during this half. I'm very bad at this. But yeah, anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Nicely taken by Kaylin Doris. 30 out for the Irish now. Craig Casey, cross to the hands of James Ryan. He hasn't had a bad game either, James Ryan. I know he can sometimes be a bit 50-50, but been relatively solid. Bundy Aki has his first carry. Wardy takes him down. Casey 30 out, looks off to the left, Goes to Josh Van den Fleer. He's actually a player who's been a little bit quieter today. And you'd have to say out of the 3 loose forwards, probably seen the most of Kalen Doris. But Josh Van den Fleer, I'm sure the behind-the-scenes stuff, such as getting to the breakdowns, everything along those lines, definitely has been about. Casey, cross now. Byrne goes for the cross kick, or in fact, it looks like a little bit more of that territory game again. He kicks it into touch 5 meters out and just trying to trap the French inside of their own 22. This is using up valuable time on the clock as well. And also, it just occurred to me, Hamish, if you do MLR games this year, you can show the game and not get a copyright because the games are free on the Rugby Network. Don't know. I think just because they're free on there doesn't mean they're not copyrightable, because I think the Rugby Network probably pay money to get the licensing. Sadly. But I'm not sure. I'd have to try and ask someone, wouldn't I? See what I can find out. Are you covering the Super Bowl? Probably not. I don't think I can name one player who's in the Super Bowl. I can't even name both teams. I know someone earlier on said the Eagles are in it. I couldn't tell you who the other side are. So I guess go Eagles, because they might go all right. I'm going to look into it. Says Grumlade's there, and Ross Byrne are just as good as Sexton, says Kieran, and wins NBA All-Star games. Once again, I would not be able to tell you, Nathan, unfortunately. I can't tell you how many times Ireland kick it behind France. They are too clueless to know it's coming, says Yarnry. But I think that's also because of how dangerous Ireland's defence is. Ireland's attack is. Because you can't afford to have too many players back, or else then that opens up those gaps in between. So you have to make sure that you're getting it right in terms of the numbers up front, but also have 1 or 2 just at the back as well, just to make sure they don't get the kick in behind. But they have been kicking very accurately, Ireland. The Six Nations has been really good so far. I always love the Six Nations, but this year has already been some top rugby. Exactly right. I think because of how close this year seems like it's going to be, just makes it that much better. Now, I should mention, Ireland are ahead by 6, but a converted try for France here would actually give them the lead. But a try for the Irish, that would give them the bonus point and quite possibly the win in this matchup. Now going off to the left, Bundy Arki crashes at the line. Galfiku's not in a good way at the moment. He looks like he's getting slower and slower, and he also was close to going off for an HIA, I believe, or just before, I believe. Dave Kilcoyne now out on the field. I have to say, brilliant performance from Andrew Porter. Credit where credit is due. He was absolutely phenomenal in this matchup. French shagged, says Kieran. Now 15 out. Ireland, they've had all the possession in the last little while, and that is even including the fact that France have had a few lineouts not too far out from their own line. Talfafanua makes the tackle there. Now around the side, here comes Mac Hansen. Nice step driven backwards by Flamand. Puts in some physicality late in this contest, which is exactly what the French need. Kalen Doris again goes. Almost Sekou Makalu's ball. Doesn't get it. Craig Casey now goes to Kilcoyne. It was slightly behind him. 10 out from the line. You can hear the crowd of the Aviva really starting to fire up, trying to G up their side and get them over the try line for that bonus point. Bundy Arki again. Now Craig Casey, left-hand side. Henderson goes to Byrne. Mac Hansen with the step around Pinot. A great low tackle made by Gelange, who once again has to make a crucial one. Ian Henderson round the side. Talfafanua tries to hold him up. Isn't able to. Up to 16 phases now. The same as the number on that man's back, Rob Herring. Now again off to the side. Ireland almost turning it over in the breakdown. Wayne Barnes just stepping over a French player. Bundy Arki rush defense on him by Galfiku. Great defense from France, but the space is open if Doris can free his hands, and he can. Now goes off to Ringrose. Big fend down the wing. Gary Ringrose to score the bonus point try for the Irish. We were asked earlier on if he had a good game. I feel like that now ticks him up pretty high. Where can I watch the game live for free? Whereabouts are you from, Jonathan? Do let me know. I will all try my best to tell you whereabouts you can watch it. If you're in the UK, though, I believe it's on... Is it on BBC or is that the wrong one? And geez, I just wanted to see the comments about Rihanna's breasts. I didn't read those earlier ones, I guess. Oh, is that for the Super Bowl? Doing the basic, pushing through, says Nate. But yeah, just persistence personified there from the Irish. 18 phases. They were not willing to stop going for it, which is exactly what they needed to do. Doris, man of the match, says, look, she's certainly up there. Found a beautiful offload, just needed to get it wide, and that is exactly what he was able to do. Come on, Ireland, says John there, and come on, boys in green, says Big Galaxy, and bump those legs, lags. So that is now a bonus point. They will be sitting now on 5 points for this matchup if they win it, rather than the 4, which in the scheme of the Six Nations could be absolutely massive for the Irish. As you can see there, they are sitting top of the table with that points differential of 24. Second highest is Scotland, sitting on 6. But the big thing here, currently an 11 points difference between these two sides. So the more and more that it starts going in the Irish favour, perhaps in the later stages of this contest, the more that we might start to see that points differential get a little bit too far out for France to then be able to get back in the scheme of the Six Nations. That is not just this game, but now that kicker successful, 32 points to 19. Anyone wondering what the fixtures look like for next week? The Irish will be on the road and they'll be taking on the Italians. That is on Sunday morning, 3:15 a.m. New Zealand time, which is the same time as this game was taking place for anyone who is outside of New Zealand. The next game after that, Wales versus England, and then France at home. They will have the Scottish, who, depending on what happens in this game up against Wales, could be sitting 2 from 2 heading into that exciting fixtures. And Ireland will win the Six Nations, says John, and at the moment they've made a very good start to this one, and Ireland is going to take the World Cup, says My Bad Gaming. Now it's kicked him behind, 74 minutes through. Nicely taken there. It was Jalabert. Tries to kick it in behind, trying to find space. But the kicking game in the second half, you'd have to say, definitely has gone in the Irish favour. And also, we have got there, why would the Doubt beat the Kiwis, beat the Aussie, beat the South Africans? So why Doubt world number 1? Says Barris. And also, I'm looking forward to the man doing van der Merwe, says Nathan. Yeah, that's not too far away either. That next game going to be taking place in only 45 minutes' time. But here come France with the last-minute chance, perhaps. Kicked him behind from Antoine Dupont. The ball does not go well. And it ended up just rolling sideways, unfortunately. And brilliant work from Bundy Arki to be able to get onto that one and stop it from going possibly into the hands of Pinot. Now, Ireland, they won't mind taking a few extra seconds here at the breakdown just to wear down the clock a tad more. Craig Casey, of his left boot, will give it a mighty heave downfield. Doesn't find touch, though. Remain Intermac goes across the Galfiku. The people on the halfway line saying that one was forward, it was flat. So they will play on just for now. Galfiku with the carry. Ball's bounced out, and it's gone straight into the hands of Tom O'Toole, who's really had an impact since coming off the bench as well. The bigger replacement tight head prop. Now, penalty to the Irish for not rolling away. Now, they'll be able to take their time with this one. And I would think they'll kick for corner. And Ireland can win the Grand Slam if Scotland lost tonight. Says Connor there. They are just showing that Dupont line break that he was able to find. It was from that offload of Talfifanoa. They felt that maybe Dupont went a bit early. I think it was just more of the case that that ball did not roll the way that they needed it to. If it was going up and down, maybe it could have been a different story. And we've got the salty people go eat it, says Shay. That's the spirit. It's going to be kicked downfield from the Irish down to 25 metres out from the French line. And Irish eyes are smiling. Yes, baby, says Gareth there as well. And if Ireland beats South Africa in the group stage, are they going to be World Cup champions? Wait, so if Ireland beats South Africa in the group stage, Ireland are going to win, I assume you're saying there. I mean, they're a real contender this year in the Rugby World Cup. And yes, history's against them. But you know what they say, history's made to be broken. And this Irish side, I believe with the squad that they've got now and the tactics that they've been using now, this could just be the side that are able to get further than any other side in the World Cup. Now, I say that and I hope I didn't jinx them. So I apologize if they end up going badly. You can come back to this comment section and say, hey, Hamish, you bloody ruined it for us. But I think they should have a good crack. Ireland Grand Slam, come on. And damn, over there is always a back in a competition like AB's won the Rugby Championship, like a huge win over Argentina, points difference. Go, Bok, go, says Revenant. That is true. Although a lot of people would say that the easy beats of the competition, well, no longer easy beats. That's Italy in quarterfinals beaten, says Shay there. Now, it's going to be Antoine Dupont. In the quarterfinal, they will be facing either France or New Zealand, more than likely. Now, Dupont has to clean this one up as it was charged down by the Irish. And for the full 80 minutes, we have seen some very impressive stuff from a few of the individual Irish players. James Lowe's always been in the hunt for this matchup. Andrew Porter, like we mentioned, Caelan Doris. I think he's close to man of the match, isn't he? It's either him or Andrew Porter for this one. And Ireland have shown a class demonstration. First-class rugby, well played, says Kev. Yep. Very well played indeed. Very minimal penalties against them as well. So discipline's looking good for the Irish throughout this contest. That's kicked downfield from France. They'll be frustrated because they just haven't been able to get into the contest in the second half. Zalaboy is unreal, doing fun to move, says Nate. And strength from depth in the World Cup, Ireland beating France without number one players, says Barrows. Although, if you're saying Ireland are missing players, of course, we can't forget that France also do have a few players out. But I always say it, like, these players at this level, everyone's got the chance of having a brilliant game and having a standout game, star players or not. Like some of these younger guys who have stepped up in this contest, you know, did they do it better than some of the guys who would have been in that spot had they been there? Now, Damien Pinot back across the Galfiku. Bounce pass. Now, a lot of pressure again. It's going to be going back. I believe that's for a deliberate knockdown, is it? No, it's going to be just the knock on. And France have nowhere to go. Exactly right. The territory in the second half would be absolutely incredible for the Irish. Like, we're talking 80% or somewhere along those lines in the last 20 minutes, if not higher. We've seen maybe 2 French attacks in the last 20 minutes, and one of which was that one before with Dupont. And Ireland have went from the bottom to the top, says Janet. And strong possibility for Ireland to end their quarterfinals disappointment and go all the way. I'm trying not to jinx them. And the stats will be outstanding for this match, says Kev. Yeah, Ireland have hardly put a foot wrong. And it's exactly what they needed to do in this matchup, because it's easy in this scenario to end up in a situation where the big game, some sides either step up or some sides step aside. And Ireland in this game have stepped up. And, you know, they'll be better for it because the Six Nations now looking not too bad for them. And the scoreline is decent, shows the levels. CSJ there now. All France, though, they're looking to get themselves maybe that last-minute try. And if they do so, they will get the bonus point for being within 7. Oh, penalty. We're going back for the original advantage. Now 4 seconds left. Ringrose, they're showing him again. He's had a workhorse kind of game as well. If Ireland lay 1 or lay off the Viagra, they'll win the World Cup, says Fluffy. I mean, I haven't really been looking at their crotches, Fluffy, so I wouldn't know whether or not they're taking those blue pills, but well spotted, I guess, if that is the case. You're looking at a different set of balls, aren't you, rather than the ones they're using to play. Now, Jalabert going to be kicking downfield, gaining extra meters. Now, this is where Ireland cannot afford to take their foot off the gas, because if they then concede now, it would be a shame to finish the match that way. Definitely if it does mean that France managed to get themselves that extra bonus point. 30, say 28 meters out. We'll get a little bit more specific for this line out. Ireland have looked strong throughout this matchup when it comes to trying to counter that French line out. Instead, they don't decide to jump. Now, shuffling sideways, Barlot passes off to Dupont. 81 minutes through this contest at the moment. Now stepping off to the side. Galfiku going to Rumman into Mac. Oh, it's knocked on. And that will be the end of the game and the end of a brilliant Irish performance. You can see how much it means to Johnny Sexton, giving a child in the crowd a hug. I don't know if he knows him or not, but if he doesn't, it's all right because they won. Andy Farrell, happy man. I'm clapping. It's currently 5 a.m. I hope my clapping didn't wake anyone up. It was more of a patter rather than a clap. So anyways, I'm looking at Italy on how rejuvenated they are this year. And also we have got there, Ireland got to number 1 by beating every Southern Hemisphere team, says Paris. Vamos. And they're from Durant and GG, says Honey. But very impressive performance from Ireland, like I mentioned. Second half, last 20 minutes, hardly put a foot wrong. First half, hardly put a foot wrong. And the Irish, with a 13 points difference in this contest, this is the way that we're currently sitting on the Six Nations table. Ireland will now progress themselves up to 10 points. And also with that points differential, they will move up to 37. But we will have the updated table for the next match that has taken place, which is Wales versus Scotland. That is only 35 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen. We will be covering that game on the channel as well. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. But France, they walk away from this game without a point and with a points differential now sitting at -8, I believe they will be sitting at. They will definitely need some big games heading into the future, including their matchup that is coming up against the Scots in 2 weeks' time. I should mention we've got a little bit of a break, 2 weeks for the Six Nations after this round is finished. But do let me know, ladies and gentlemen, your man of the matches. Who would you give it to? I think it's definitely, if I had to pick, I'll give you 4 options for the Irish. I would say you've got to put Andrew Porter there, Caelan Doris, Gary Ringrose, Johnny Sexton. They're probably the 4 that you'd throw out as the man of the match options. Wait, are those his kids or someone else's kids? I'm not sure. Either way, there is some children that Johnny was very happy to see. Because, of course, Ireland getting themselves a massive victory over the French and looking forward to the Scotland-Wales. Do you think Wales can beat Scotland, or do you think they will shake that monkey off their back? I think Scotland, for the scheme of the Six Nations, they have to go out and put on a big performance here and possibly chase down a bonus point in that contest as well. And super performance from the Irish, says Anton. Yeah, there's not a lot that you can, I guess, say that they did badly when you think about it. Like, discipline was pretty decent. They hardly gave away too many penalties. Handling was solid. Breakdown, they didn't really do too much wrong. Kicking got better in the second half. They took their opportunities. Maybe you could be really, really harsh if you wanted to and say there were a lot of times that they were about 5 meters out. All right, Caelan Doris gets man of the match. Very well deserved. But yeah, that's only really nitpicking if you're going to say that they should have scored more tries, seeing as they already got themselves the bonus point. That's like the only thing that I can think of that's like that you can say they did wrong, which they didn't really do that wrong because they still scored. At least Scotland won't be winning the spoon. Just might be Wales. Yeah, I think the big game's going to be Wales-Italy to decide exactly how it's going to be setting Ireland's too good, says Kieran. And great coverage, thanks, says it was Yoni there. But anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is hugely appreciated having everyone tuning in for this live stream. We'll take favourite, no problem, says Kieran. Is that for the World Cup or for the Six Nations, Kieran? I don't know whether you want to be favourite for a World Cup. I feel like you're better off being about maybe 3 or 4, just as a little bit of a dark horse, rather than going in with that huge pressure of being right up there. Cheers for that, mate. Says Mark, no worries at all. And we have got our next live stream coming up in only about 25 minutes' time, ladies and gentlemen. That will be the matchup between Wales and Scotland. We will have an updated Six Nations table, although we did just say about how the Irish are on 10 points with a good points differential at the moment. France dropping just a little bit. But this next game between Scotland and Wales, a very important one for the scheme of the Six Nations 2023 comp. The referee was really bad. We can say thank you, says Malcolm Whites. Yeah, I guess Wayne Barnes, he did have a couple moments in this one. Like I mentioned earlier on, though, no matter what the result of any rugby game now, unfortunately, there's always that refereeing question. So it makes it tricky. Andrew Porter looks like he's been in a bar fight. His ears busted up, his lips busted, he's bleeding. He's got a black eye on one side almost and a shiner on the other that's slowly forming. Who was man of the match? Caelan Doris. Very good performance from that man and thoroughly deserved the man of the match role. Well, Scotland game going to be outstanding too. Exactly right. The fact that it's 5:15 a.m. and I'm wide awake, running off 2 hours of sleep. And I was really good there. Shut up about the referee versus Kieran in there. Like I mentioned earlier on, though, it is not just like the New Zealanders and the South Africans anymore. You know, there's everywhere, from what I've seen anyway, there's always mentions. And like Ireland says, Orion, and also very good there, Barnes, man of the match, says Flavie, and also back to beer for me. Well done, Irish, says Michael there. And France were well beaten. France kicked badly. They did. And that's the thing. France, they score 1 try in this game. That is something that they'll be a little bit disappointed with. And yeah, like you mentioned, that kicking and also a little bit of that discipline did let them down. That yellow card, that could have been a red, but yellow card did end up costing them a try, which kind of moved the momentum of this fixture just a little bit, but always close. That last minute try from the Irish certainly helped with Gary Ringrose scoring it, not just for the scoreline, but also for that bonus point, adding it on top of it as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this live stream, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you get notified when we do our random live streams. If you do want something to watch before our Scotland versus Wales, do recommend checking out our video that we posted not too long ago. It was actually myself and one of the other Kiwi lads. We played the same matchup on a rugby video game, and we're not good at the game. Is a perfect example of that. But yeah, be sure to check that out if you want something to watch while waiting for the next fixture that we are going to be starting in 25 minutes time. Yeah, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Keep us see you for the next game. Love the commentary. Keep it up, my Kiwi friend. Great channel, mate. And I do appreciate it very much. And refereeing really helped us. With better refereeing, not sure we win, says Malcolm. Although I'd say even if the referee was bad, if he was, I think Ireland still get the win there, to be honest, because when you look at the way that France were kicking that ball away in the second half, and you look at how clinical Ireland were with the way that they were attacking, getting the 4 tries, kicking into the corner and just forcing the French deep and deep again, eventually the mistakes were going to start coming for the French. Yes, it might have been slightly closer, but I think Ireland still walk away with the win in that one. Just because out of the two sides, general play, they did look like the sharper side out there on the park. Yeah, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Be sure to check out our next live stream, which is Wales versus the Scottish. Now, France lost a lot of size in their side. What do you think their issue is? Well, they've done the opposite in the 4-pack. They came in at 940 kgs compared to the Irish 880. And I mentioned it in that first half. Like, those big boys are going to slow down. And then it's the question of how early do you use your bench. They actually went to a lot of their replacements early on in that second half, whereas Ireland were able to hang off for an extra 10, 15 minutes, which meant they were fresher near the end of this game. And it did show because they still looked like they could have gone another 20 minutes at the end of this game, whereas some of those French players look like maybe even 10 would have been a bit of a stretch. But yeah, I think plenty of size, just didn't quite get it right in this contest at the Aviva, which of course they'll be disappointed with, but they'll be looking to fire back in their next game up against the Scottish at home. Thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe like I mentioned. I hope you have something nice to eat before your next stream. I think this is going to be what I eat. Not literally the bottle. Plastic's bad to eat, I think. But just the water. I end up probably cooking some breakfast after this next stream, seeing as we are still in the middle of the night, sitting 5:20 a.m. New Zealand time. But thank you all very much. I will see you all for the next one.